Hey, wonderful people. Good afternoon to you. You know, sorry about that. I heard a terminology from a very brilliant woman. You know that we are theoretically brilliant, but practically illiterate. And I would almost just put them together and say, do not be an academic illiterate. You know, just kind of creating this sort of an amalgamation and metamorphosis of both. And I'm saying that people are seeking higher studies, but when it comes to the practicality of it, it is not being employed in real life. So people are going and they get their tertiary level education, for example, a bachelor's, and then maybe they go to a master's, and then perhaps they go to the PhD level. But when it comes down to the nitty-gritty, to the practicality, because you have to employ it in the real world, you're not just living in the books, you're not just living in theory. It's not just a theorem, it's not just an hypothesis, it's real life you're going to be dealing with, whether it's a professional life or a personal life or both. You have to be dealing with them, and you need to find a way to segue that academic high learning into the practicality of your lives, as opposed to being an academic illiterate. So you have the head knowledge of, second hand and third hand and fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10, umpteenth hand information, but the ability to apply it into real life, you suck. It's like it was sucker punched out of you. The academic has not been able to join forces, join alliances with the practicality of life. So it's like you're an academic dunce, an academic illiterate, academic unintelligent person or people. And when I really sort of scrutinize and put under the microscope, even using a telescope, the whole ideology of academic illiteracy, I realize that Jamaica has been sucker punched with that sort of hypothesis. In other words, even though our illiteracy or literacy rate, if you want to look at it from that angle, is 137th or 138th place, we're way below par. Way below par in terms of our literacy/illiteracy level. But there are people who are really academically what you would call literate, if you very academically shrewd, very academically vibrant, but as it relates to transposing that academic theorem to practical living, it is almost like it is virtually impossible. It seems as if there is a disconnect. There is no symbiotic play between the two. And this is because of greed, being power hungry, being selfish, being narcissistic, being demonic, being evil, being wicked, all for him or herself. Not looking out for your fellow brother and fellow sister. Do you realize the world that we're living in today? That anybody, they can be stripped of their wealth, fame, and fortune and become almost like a dead log instantly. We see many of the superstars, when their infractions come to the fore and how they're stripped of their dignity, their integrity has been smothered. It has been suffocated. It has gone with the wind, if there was any in the first place. So it tells a story that no matter how much you may attain all the way up in the skies, one false move. If you don't apply, what it is that you have been trained in, what it is that you are learned in, as they would say, to the practicality of life, then you're going to pay some serious consequences for same. How is it that you go all the way to even, for example, you have your bachelor, you have your master's, you have your doctorate or PhD, whatever you want to call it, and you mean to tell me that you don't apply any of the higher level learning to your everyday life? You study psychology and you abuse people? Whether it's, I'm just using psychology. You study sociology, but yet you don't know how to deal with people in a group setting or individually. You're standoffish. And you deliberately perpetuate that. You do communication, but you talk down to people. You're condescending, you're rude, you're disrespectful. You try to make people seem as if they're dumb, stupid, and incompetent. So what was the purpose of going to school? Because if you go to, the purpose of you going to school to attain this higher level education, and it is only benefiting you, then you're really a dunce. You're really illiterate. You're really emotionally unintelligent, and really you have no intelligence quotient, more than knowing the cover of the book and how it looks. It is sad that people who have attained higher learning, even to the last stage, have not been able to transition that academia into real life. So they're like pointless, they're useless. Like you wonder, what is the purpose of this human being? So you're just filled up your soul and like a big balloon, puggy, big, because you have not emptied yourself. When you empty yourself, then you see your purpose for living. Love your neighbor as yourself. Treat people the way you want to be treated. That's the whole duty of man, and to put God above everyone and everything. So you're academically brilliant, but practically you're unintelligent. You're not intellectual. You're dunce. You're like an oaf. You're dolt or doltish, like an imbecile, because you have not decided intentionally and deliberately to transition all of that second-hand, third-hand, fourth and fifth, umpteenth-hand information to real life, to see how you can create that quantum effect, to see how you can put you in that information as well in the mix, to make it neo and to make it sparkly and to make it affect people in a positive way. Because this is a whole duty of man. So you're academically brilliant, but practically dunce, practically illiterate. So you're an academic illiterate. You're an academic dunce. And I don't say this with pride. I actually am disheartened. My heart is saddened and broken, because there are many people like that who live in a box. When you open the box, you see narcissism permeating the entire thing, because you have decided that I am living for three amigos: me, myself, and I, to HELL, with everyone else and everything else. As long as I am satisfied, I don't care about anybody else. I don't care how you feel. I don't care if what I promulgate and what I say and what I do hurts you, as long as I feel good, because it feels good to the flesh to be condescending, to tear you down, to not help you, to not look out for you, to not, help to fuel your strengths, your abilities, your capabilities, your talents, your giftings and abilities. I'm looking out for me and only me. And that is my whole duty of this man or woman. Sad. Theoretically brilliant, but practically illiterate, practically dunce, practically a simpleton, an oaf, and a dolt, an imbecile, a nincompoop, a moron, a foolish person. Some may say an idiot. I can only hope and pray for those who are seeking higher learning that don't waste it. Don't be swollen like a big balloon, like the helium balloon, just swollen big, puggy. But everything is just in you and nobody is benefiting except you. It's like the story of Abigail and Naboth, her husband. Greedy, narcissistic, never wanted to help David and his men. And David almost killed him, but she stopped him. And 10 days later, he died. And David just took Abigail as his wife. And that is what will happen Anyway, guys, you know what to do. Read TikTok and YouTube. Have a fantastic day.